Good morning, students. Myself, Nayan Swami from Mechanical Department. So, I'm handling the subject Material Science. The subject code is 18ME34 for your current semester, that is a third semester. So, now what is the importance of materials? Okay, so, before going into the mechanical properties and its relations related to the crystal structures, we need to know why we need to study this subject and what is the importance of this subject in the day to day life. Okay, so if you take anything in the universe, anything, okay, so just say for example, from the clothes you wear to the things you eat and the things you use, okay, so everywhere material exists. So without that one, you can't even imagine the things in the reality. Say for example, when it comes to the engineering, we have a different disciplines. Say for example, like electronics and communication, computer science, electrical, civil, and so on. Even any discipline fellow, if he thinks, say for example, an electronic people, if they imagine or if they design a PCB, that is a printed circuit board, or if they think about a miniaturization in the mechatronics, that is a small heat pumps, okay, or if you take a computer science engineer, where if he imagines a supercomputer which can work or which can calculate the things within a fraction of seconds, or if a civil engineer thinks about or a super bridge, okay, or a superstructure which is a lightweight material and which can withstand the wind velocity up to 1,000 kilometer per hour and all. Or if any other fellows, say for example, automobile engineer, if he thinks a vehicle which can be driven on the road, on the sea water and in the air, okay, so they can imagine anything, but when we are going to bring that one to the reality, okay, if he wants to bring that PCB into the reality, supercomputer into the reality, or a flying car into the reality, or a superstructure into the reality, one needs a material which is going to support to that one. Okay, so one has to think what are the property which he is expecting from that material, whether that material is existing in the nature or not, or how to design that material. Okay, so how to process that one. Say for example, you are going to get an ore, okay, that is an iron ore, and once you get that iron ore, you can't use that one directly. You have to refine that one, okay, and you have to process that one, and then you have to mold that one according to your requirement, okay, like that. So each process carries the importance according to its nature. Say for example, if you take anything, a best example, day to day life. So if you're going to have cook a rice, okay, so what you will do, you're going to take the rice, you're going to wash that one, you're going to put it into the cooker or maybe open vessel, and you're going to put the according to that one water ratio. Then you're going to cook that one. Now, if you're going to cook the rice in the cooker and in an open vessel by closing a lid and all, just take the quality of that one. Means, see, the quality of the rice depends on the process what you followed, whether you cooked that one in the cooker or whether you cooked that one in a open vessel, like that. Okay, so even when you want to purchase anything, okay, say for example the clothes, again it depends on the seasons, okay, the type of cloth which you wear in the winter, which you wear in the summer, which you wear in the rainy season, depends on the season. Okay, again the characteristics the properties, okay, and the processing method which they followed in order to make those cloths are different things. Okay, so like that, when it comes to the mechanical engineering, so we as a mechanical engineer, whatever we dream or whatever we design, okay, in order to bring that one to the reality, we need a material which is going to give that promising property, okay, by which we can bring our imagination into the reality. All right. So here we talk about a common ore, what we said, okay, and we are going to refine that one. We are going to process that one, and we are going to think about the applications where we exactly we are going to use. All right. So here everything is possible. Say now first thing is a chemistry where the atoms arrangements is going to matter, and we are going to talk about a physics, the arrangement of the atoms, okay, so the crystal structures and all, and the mathematics where we are going to establish a relationship between the crystal structure and the properties, okay, and the engineering where exactly we are going to apply those things, okay. So that's how exactly we are going to study the relationship between the crystal structure and to the property and to the application. Okay. So next in the coming slides, we'll see what are the course objectives, what are the course outcomes, how your course is planned. So what are the weightage, that is the marks and the credits which they have from the university they have provided, and to the different modules where we exactly we're going to know the different things. So as we move on, we need to know what are the course objectives before learning this subject. Okay. So whenever we start a new task, before starting that, we need to define our objectives. Okay. Say for example, want to learn driving of a vehicle means first thing you need to say what are your objectives. Okay. First thing you should know the each parts of the vehicle. Okay, and you should know what are the functions of each part, and you should know what are the how exactly all the things, all the parts are interrelated, and then you need to learn the vehicle, something like that. Okay, so each goal, okay, or each task are defined with the objectives. Likewise, so each courses which are defined in the current semester will be having their own objectives. So when it comes to the material science, okay, so first thing we need to understand what are the structures, okay, the structures, and the structure is related to the various modes of failures. Okay, so next we need to know the properties of a material, that is mechanical properties. Okay, so we have a different categories of materials like metals, alloys, polymers, ceramics, smart materials, and composites. So each category will be having their own unique mechanical property which are going to define their application in the present scenario. Next, the means of modifying such a property. As we said, so we can tailor the properties of a material. Okay, so with the controlling the parameters which are assigned in the processing, okay, and a failure of a material. So once you understand how exactly you can tailor the properties with the help of a processing, okay, so we can modify the properties of a materials. Next thing, concept of use of materials for various applications are highlighted. Means, see each applications are defined with different properties, and each properties are peculiar with each category of a material. Okay, say for example, if you take it here, okay, so polymers and ceramics. So polymers are not used for high load applications. Okay, but ceramics are very good in what you call compressive strength. But ceramics can withstand the hardness, that is a what you call resistance to the scratches and all. But polymers are not in that way. Okay, and ceramics can withstand a high temperature, but polymers cannot withstand a high temperature. and polymers degrade with respect to the sunlight, but ceramics are not in that case, like that. Okay, so each category of a material are having a unique property which are going to define them with respect to the applications. Okay, so those are the like a course objectives which come, okay, which we need to define, okay, before starting the course. So these are the course outcomes. Okay, outcomes means so once you are going to finish this learning at the end of the third semester, you should be in a position to describe the mechanical properties. Okay, so in the objective we have defined, so we need to learn the mechanical property, and once in the outcome we define, once we finish the course, you need to describe the mechanical properties of a material and various failures, and understand the microstructure of a ferrous and a non-ferrous material for a mechanical properties. That is what I said. So when it comes to the metals, the subcategory in that one will be ferrous and non-ferrous material. Okay, so we need to understand what are the mechanical property with respect to the ferrous and non-ferrous, and these property are interrelated with the microstructures. Then explain the process of a heat treatment of a various alloys. Okay, so what exactly a heat treatment? Okay, so that we will anyhow we'll discuss that one when it comes to the module number 3. So before that, just to give an example, just consider the baking items. Okay, so you might have seen the how exactly they are going to process the bread in a bakery. Okay, so initially they will take a maida, they will mix with the water, and with that proportion they will make the whatever the shapes they want, and they will keep it into the oven with a particular temperature, and they will leave that one for some time. So after that one you can see the changes in the property. Okay, so initially it was maida with the water, and later and all, so when it came out with the oven at a particular temperature, the property has changed. It became smooth, okay, and a bit tasty, like that. Okay, that is what is heat treatment. Heat treatment means with the effect of a temperature, okay, and we are going to treat that one to change the property of the material. So understand the properties and potentialities of various material available and material selection procedure. Okay, say what I said, like even in the introduction I said each category of engineers will define their own material. Okay, so according to that one we can synthesize the material also with the available materials. Okay, that is what we said, tailoring of the materials. Know about the composite material and their processing as well as application. So this is the present scenario is with the composite material. Okay, so where we are going to mix two materials or more than two materials. Okay, so which are having a different property. Okay, which are physically distinct. They are not going to mix up together. We can easily identify the two different materials. The best example is a concrete wall, where you can see the cement, where you can see the jelly stones, and you can see the TMT rods. Okay, that is the best example for a composite material, where you can see the all the three types which are physically distinct. Okay, we can easily identify there are three types of material which are mixed together, and they have made a composite material. Okay, so these are the course outcomes. Means once you are going to finish that course, you need to in a position to understand, or you should be in a position to tell what are you learned from that course. Okay, so once it comes to the syllabus, okay, so as already we said, the course code will be 18ME 34. Okay, and the marks allotted will be CIA, that is continuous evaluation, 40 marks, that is internal marks, and SEM exam will be, there were 100 marks which will be converted for 60 marks, and exam hour will be 3 hours, and teaching hours will be 3 hours per week, and here the credit of the subject is 3. Okay, so these are the course objective. Already we have seen in the previous slide, where you need to understand the different categories. Okay, so when it comes to the syllabus, so we have 5 modules: module 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so in the module 1 we are going to study the crystal structures, and in the module 2 we'll see the mechanical behavior. Means So once you understand the crystal structure, so how these different types of crystal structure are going to behave, we'll study here. Say for example, in a crystal structure, we'll be having a simple cubic, body-centered cubic, face-centered cubic, and a hexagonal closed packet. So how these individually will what you call show their behavior when it comes to the application, that we are going to study in the mechanical behavior. It is something like a relation between the crystal structure and the application. Okay. So in the module number 2, we'll study the failure of a material. Okay. Say for example, if you take a chocolate, okay, any chocolate, say for example dairy milk or this one what you call Kit Kat and all. So the one before keeping it in the fridge, you just try to break that one. Okay, it will be like a liquid jelly-like structure and it will squeeze. And you take the same chocolate and keep it in the fridge for in the freezer for a few minutes and take it out and try to break that one. It will easily break. Okay, so that is what. And the one before the keeping it in the fridge, so it will show something like a elongations. Okay, it will not break easily, but the one which you kept in the fridge will break easily. So we can say like the one which you are not kept in the fridge is an example for a ductile one. The one which you kept in the fridge is an example for a brittle one. Okay, so like that. So if you take a sheet of paper and if you want to tear that one, how will tear? You will just apply the force in a opposite direction. That is what is the shear force. Okay, so those things are like a type 1, type 2, type 3 fractures. Okay, so means when it comes to the practical application also, you can see the similar type of failures in the practical application. And then we'll see what are the different types of loading, that is a fatigue and a creep. So fatigue is something like a rotating shaft. If you take an example of a fan, okay, it will be rotating as well as there will be a load which is acting downward. Okay, so that is what is a fatigue, means there will be a static as well as a dynamic loading on that one. So creep is something like a what you call time dependent deformation. Say for example, you might have seen some hanging decorations in your home, okay, so which will be tied to a thread and which is made to hang with the help of a nail or maybe hook like structures and all. But you might have observed after some time there will be increase in the length. Okay, so increase in the length means there will be a prolonged elongation after some time. That is what is a time dependent deformation. If you keep that one, say for example maybe 5 years, 10 years and all, so at a point of time it may break and fall on the ground. Okay, so that is what is creep, that is time dependent deformation. And then we'll study about the solidification. Solidification means, say for example, we want to come up with a new material, that is alloys. Okay, so there we can have a different mixtures. Okay, so different proportions and all. Okay, those things we are going to study it in the solidification. And if you are going to mix the at a different fractions, so how exactly we are going to get a different properties and all, that is what is phase diagram we say. Okay, so we can easily predict like if you're going to mix up that one with a different proportion, what are the property you are going to get it in the thing. So that diagram we are going to call it as a phase diagram. Okay, next effect of alloying elements. Okay, say for example if you have a iron, if you're going to mix a carbon into that one, so that what are the alloy we are going to call it as a steel. Again in the steel, if you're going to have a manganese, silicon, chromium, nickel and all, we are going to get a different types of steels. Okay, so that we are going to study in the third part of the module number 2. Okay, so in the module number 3, as already said in the introduction, so we are going to study about the heat treatment and non-ferrous alloys. Okay, aluminium alloys, copper alloys, so all those things we are going to study in the module number 3. And a surface hardening methods. Surface hardening method means, say for example, so if you have a what you call surgical instruments, okay, knife and all, so only the surface of that knife should be hardened, not the core. Okay, not inside, only outside should be hard enough. So we call that one as a surface hardening methods. Okay, so there also we can have these things. Okay, that is what is called as a surface hardening. And in the module number 4, exclusively we are going to study about the composite material. Okay, so what are the different types of a composite material, classifications, okay, so what are the properties, what are the process we have involved, what are the applications, and a few numericals in order to what you call find out how exactly we can play with the different proportions of the material. Okay, so in the module number 5, that is the last one, so we are going to study the advanced type of materials. Okay, say ceramics, plastics, and a smart material, shape memory alloys. Okay, and a residual life assessment, that is the use of NDT structures and all in order to assess the materials and all. Okay, so till here it's a module number 5. So means, so we'll study first the structure, we'll study how exactly they are going to behave with that structure, and then we'll study the different categories in the materials, okay, as well as how exactly they are going to fail, and as time passes we'll come to the new present scenario where we are going to have a different new advanced material, that is alloys which we have created. Okay, so according to the applications, so all those things we are going to study it in the module number 5. Okay, so as we move on, we'll jump into the little bit introduction to the materials, then we'll take up the module number 1. Okay, thank you. As we move on, once we see the history, how the material has evolved, we can see the first one as the Stone Age, where the human beings they used stones for a cutting purpose, even to light the sparks, okay, the fire, all those things, and to hunt the animals. And later on, it came to the an age where they used the metals like a bronze age, and next they came to an iron age, okay, where the steel has occupied the whole industry. The manufacturers tried with the new alloys, and later on the few property, the disadvantages associated with the metals, that is the weight and the corrosion and the cost of processing that one, has uh, led to a new polymer age and a concrete with the steel, that is what is composite materials. And the evaluation, the modernization in the electronics field has made to think of a silicon age. Now, at the present scenario, we can see the composite material with the advanced materials like a shape memory alloys are ruling the world. And when you look in a broad classification of the materials, so we can say like a monolithic and a hybrids. The monolithic are something like which are obtained directly, okay, with the metals and alloys, okay, even the non-metals also, in the ceramics and glasses, and the polymers and the elastomers. And when it comes to the hybrids, which are man-made with the tailoring of the properties, we can say composites, sandwiched composites, lattice composites, and segments. Okay, so where these things are tailored one means to a particular application, the properties are stitched in order to have the desired application. Okay, so when we say metals, metals again we are going to have a valence electrons, okay, detached from the atoms and spread in an electron sea and the glues the iron together. That is where we are going to have a protons, neutrons, electrons, okay, which are bound by an electromagnetic force which are going to revolve, and the free electrons are going to give rise to a current. Okay, so all those things will come in a metals. Okay, so we find a variety of application in the metals. Okay, so wherever it is not possible to replace those things with the any new material, so still the materials metals are used extensively. So the semiconductors, wherever the electronics and communication devices, okay, which are going to play, say for example photovoltaic cells and all. So there we are going to have a semiconductors, okay, that is a N type, P type, where the silicon uh, pentavalent materials are going to play an important role. Okay, so you can see like a PCBs where we can use these semiconductors. So next is the ceramics. Okay, so already we are well known with the oxides of metals. Okay, so aluminum oxide which can withstand a high temperature, and refractory materials, and the one which is having a very good high compression strength. Okay, so your what you call mm, household what you call ceramic tiles. Okay, so all those things will come under ceramics. And these metals ceramics are replaced with the polymers. Okay, so where these things are bonded by a weak van der Waals forces, but they are very lightweight, corrosion resistance. Okay, so wherever it is not a matter of taking up a load, all those things, so there we can have a polymer materials. Okay, so you can see like nowadays in the toys and in many small scale industries, all the metal gears and all are replaced with the polymer materials. So when you see the application, okay, still the metals are having a major contribution in the field of application. Okay, so now the present scenario, the composites are replacing the metals, but major portion is taken up by the metals itself. Okay. So next, once you see how the things are classified in the thing in a different categories, so we can see the properties are bonded with the are comprising with the composition. Okay, the composition in term will be having a bonding and a crystal structure. Okay, so the next thing will be thermomechanical processing and the microstructure. Means it's a flow where we can see these things are interrelated. Okay, so the composition again in turn is defined with the bonding and the crystal structure, the processing again in turn with the bonding and the crystal structure, and the microstructure again in turn with the processing and thermomechanical processing. And if you see, so how the things are going to change. Okay, say for example, as we said, composition, if you take an steel and its composition, the major composition in the steel is a iron, and all these alloy elements are going to contribute to the different properties in the steel. Okay, say if you are going to increase the chromium, there will be a corrosion resistance, and if you are going to increase the copper content in that one, the ductility will be more. Okay, so if you are going to increase the nickel in that one, the hardness will be more, that is the resistance will be more. Okay, so like that, so one can play with the composition depending upon the application. So next thing, so once we are going to finalize with the composition, next will be the bonding. Okay, so the bonding, here we can see, just we have taken an example of a steel again. So carbon atoms are going to occupy the interstitial position. Okay, the space between the atoms we are going to call it as a interstitial atoms. Okay, so sometimes these whatever the parent atom, this white color atoms are replaced with a one more atom. That is what we call as substitutional. Okay, so means again the depending upon the bonding also, the structure of that one will change. You can see it here. Okay, so this is what we call it as a iron carbon phase diagram that we'll see in the later stages. So this is what we say FCC, this is the BCC, and this is a tetrahedral. Okay, so means at a different temperature, you can see this is the temperature scale. At a different temperature, we are going to have a different crystal structure. Means each crystal structure are going to have a different properties. Okay, so again depending upon the application, either one can choose whichever the crystal structure they want. Okay, so normally in a general way, we say FCC will be having a ductile, BCC will be having a brittle one, okay, tetrahedronal will be having a brittle one. Okay, so what application, okay, demands in the reality, so according to that one, one can select the crystal structure. Okay, so thermomechanical processing. Thermomechanical processing, you can see the mechanical strength in a different grades of a steel. Okay, that one is going to vary depending upon the composition of the steel. Okay, and the last one is the microstructure. Okay, so here you can see there are different types of microstructure. Okay, so depending upon the thermomechanical processing. Okay, you can have a needle-like structure. Okay, you can have a needle-like structure with a less density. Okay, so like that you can have a different microstructure. So means see all these composition, bonding, crystal structure, okay, mechanical processing, and the microstructure, all these things are interdependent. It is not like a independent. So once you finish the process, it doesn't mean like you have come up with a required property. Not like that. Okay. So once you are done with this selection of crystal structure, processing and all, so next thing is as a engineers, what we need to look into the materials, that is a material property. Okay, so one can look into the chemical property, and one can look into the physical property, one can look into the mechanical property, and one can look into the dimension stability. Okay, means according to the application of a material. Okay, so one has to see what property in that material it demands. Okay, so as a mechanical engineer, you can say what type of strength you want. Either you want a tension, or you want a compression, or you want only the toughness, or only elasticity, hardness, ductility, like that. Or as a basic one, which one you want? Whether you want a electrically conductive material or a magnetic conductive material, okay, or a chemical composition, whether it should be a corrosion resistance, okay, or whether it should be a oxides of the metal, like that. Okay, but when it comes to the overall thing, as a mechanical engineer, okay, so these are the property which we are interested in the any material. One is the strength, elasticity, stiffness, flexibility, plasticity, resilience, creep, machinability, fatigue, hardness, ductility, malleability, and brittleness. Means what the application demands, according to that one can choose which are the mechanical property they want for that application, and according to that one they can tailor the material. Okay, so like that one can view the things, and according to that one they can demand the things. Okay, so means when it comes to the overall thing, so you can see like the structure, the processing, the performance, and the property, all these things are interrelated. Okay, tetrahedron. Okay, the characterization plays an important role in order to find out what the process is going to have it in that one. Just to have an example, you can say, so a microstructure. Okay, so what are the features of a structure? Say what we said in a crystal structure, whether it's a FCC, BCC, HCP, or a simple cubic. So depending upon that one, we are going to find what type of microstructure it is going to have. Okay, so once we finalize with the microstructure, so what type of synthesis and process it demands. Okay, so whether it is a ductile material or a brittle material is found using the microstructure, and depending upon whether it is a ductile or a brittle, the synthesis and the processing step is followed. You can say here it's a rolling. Okay, normally used for a ductile material. So once it is done, so we need to check for a composition. Okay, so what type of composition it is having. Okay, so once the process is done, whether it has lost its composition, whether it is retained, okay, that we need to check before its application. Okay, and at last performance. So all after all these things, it is bring it to the reality with the application, and how exactly it is going to perform in the reality, that we need to check up. Okay, so once it comes to the application, means at each stage it needs a characterization, that is a center part. Okay, means in order to evaluate the microstructure, or in order to find out the synthesis and the processing, or in order to evaluate the composition, or in order to check out the performance of a material, one has to go through the characterization techniques in order to find the performance of a material. And once you look as a material, okay, so as we move on from microstructure to the composition to the synthesis to the real structure, so how a material matters. Okay, so when you see the material in a bulk way, you can see it like this. And when you just come down one step below that one, we can talk about a crystal. And one step below that one, we talk about atoms. And one step below that one, it's atomic nucleus. And again, inside the nucleus, we can find out the electrons, neutrons, protons and all. And again, once you come to the each neutron, electron and all, we talk about the cycle, the scale factor in the 10 power of minus 18 meters. Means, so as we move down the scale, macroscopic to the microscopic, okay, all these things matters. Means, an arrangement of a neutron and electron inside the atom, and the arrangement of the atoms within a crystal structure, and the arrangement of these crystal structure within a material is going to leads to the performance of a material. Means, you can't ignore the size and the arrangement of each electron, neutron and atom within the crystal structure. Ultimately, it leads to the properties of a material. Okay, that one has to see in that one. Okay, say now if you see the subatomic level like this, atomic level like this. Okay, and microscopic structure you can see it like this, and a macroscopic structure you can see. So once you're going to analyze, okay, so step by step downwards, okay, where is the origin of that one, so you can say from subatomic to the atomic to the microscopic to the